What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 428 of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we will be breaking down some of the current events, rumors, news, gossip, scuttlebutt, and everything else that has gone down in the past few days, and the whole spectrum of professional wrestling and sports entertainment and that wrestling business, whatever you want to call it, that we feel like talking about. We are your hosts, as always. I am Tony Mango. I got with me Robert DeFelice.
Hey, everybody, it's the Hot Tags.
And it's kind of cold out, not too hot, but we're going to get into lots of hot tags despite that. Actually, more than we normally do here. I think there's like 11 topics for us to get down to or something. So, hey, you're in for a kind of longer episode this time. Before we get into things, I want to remind everybody that I want to know what you have to say about these topics as well. So if you are on the iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Fuck You Podcast, Fuck Your Mom Podcast, whatever you want to fucking call these things, then, hop on over to YouTube where you can actually leave a comment. And while you're there and you're telling us what your thoughts are about this, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and ring that little bell for the notifications, because that way you'll be aware of when we actually post new videos, just the same as you would if you follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, or if you subscribe to the RSS feed of the website, or any of the other methods that are like that. And of course, thank you for listening to this. This has been another. No, I'm just kidding. Let's just start diving into this stuff. I don't even know. We're gonna bounce around with these things. I'm not gonna bother to try to I'm gonna lump these together, or these are the contract ones, and we're just gonna be all over the place here. But I want to go with the one that I guess, had like the furthest back from at least this news cycle, which is that WWE gave up their attempt to trademark the name EC3, which is actually owned by EC3, smart on his part. And right after that, not too long after that, Chris Jericho posted a picture of himself with EC3 and basically teased, which at this point you might as well practically confirm is like inevitable, that EC3 as EC3 will go to AEW soon. It's a lot of acronyms there. He's going to join Shield and Strike and all the other kind of things.
Well, EC3 will be in AEW on TNT, and I think it's a good fit. I mean, you never know. Maybe he just goes back to Impact. But I think EC3 deserves a big break. He worked really hard to get himself from Derek Bateman to EC3, so he should feel better about himself.
It's so weird that they didn't push him more in WWE. It's almost like they brought him in liking what he was doing, but said, don't do that.
Well, I think we go back to the mess that was, December 2018. And I think if you stayed in NXT with the whole, I'm going to make it NX3, he probably would have been fine. They rushed him up to the main roster when the last time he was there, he was a guy they had nothing for, and they promptly made him a guy they had nothing for.
Yeah. And then they didn't do anything to kind of like retroactively fix that problem. There are people that have had bad runs and it didn't kill their career. You could have people that come in, Isaac Yankem.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Look at that. He goes from Isaac Yankem to Fake Diesel, and they still find a way to make him Kane because they know that he's got a future. With EC3, he had it already, kind of packaged together. All he needed to do was just let him be EC3, and I was totally cool with him going to NXT, too. That made sense to me. Bigger fish, smaller pond. And then eventually bring him up to the main roster. And instead, his time in NXT was like that they almost specifically didn't want to make him a big deal. And then they bring him up to the main roster, which is like, maybe that's a better fit for him.
Well, he did two takeovers, right? He did
that ladder match. Yeah.
And then he did Velveteen Dream. Both very good matchups. And then he was going to turn face because he had gotten jumped by the Undisputed Era. And they're just like, nah, go up to Raw or SmackDown because we don't really know. You're just going to float around. And then they had him beat Ambrose, and then they never did anything with him after that.
Yeah, that whole Ambrose thing wasn't going to really help him all that much, but even if they would have had a plan for that and it went awry, they could have just pivoted to something else. I mean, it happens sometimes. And then if they really care, they'll put in the effort. And it clearly showed that they just didn't really care. So that sucks, because now that means that, like, I liked him when he was Derek Bateman. I thought that he was funny. I thought that he had a lot of potential. And it's just sort of disappointing. And if he goes to AEW, I think he's actually going to be much, much better off. And then in typical WWE fashion, they're going to look at him and they're going to go, ah, man, why don't we have that guy? And it's like, well, you did twice and you just didn't want to do anything with him. So we kind of talked about it before. I think that AEW is a better fit for him. I think that if he goes to Impact, it's just going to be a downgrade instead of a lateral move. And
to be clear, I think Impact is a good fit for him. It's just Impact is perpetually seen as a downgrade.
I guess, like, the way that I look at Impact is if you're equating it to, like, say, fast food chains, like WWE is McDonald's.
Absolutely.
It's the king of the whole thing. It might not have the best food. It pretty much doesn't have the best food.
Wendy's does.
Yeah, Wendy's is 100% better. But it's still like the king, even though Burger King calls itself the king. AEW is like Wendy's, where it's coming along. It's got this kind of different vibe to it, which, if you're going for chicken nuggets, I think that they have the better nuggets. If you are going for fries, I think they got the better fries. Not everything's the best, but they've got what they're doing and they're doing it well. Impact used to be like the Burger King side of things. So I guess, more than anything, we could call WCW was Burger King, but it's still around for some reason. So that's kind of confusing. My analogy's kind of falling apart here, but the point being, AEW is up there as like the Burger King or the Wendy's, whereas Impact to me is kind of like Checkers. Nobody ever brings it up. It might have some good stuff every once in a while, but I've eaten there once in my life.
I would say Ring of Honor right now is like Arby's. It's all right. You see commercials for it.
I dig Arby's every once in a while.
They got the meats. Doesn't mean I'm going there.
Boom. Anton's theme.
NWA, they're like a Johnny Rocket. Do you know what Johnny Rocket is?
Yeah, I was going to say Roy Rogers. Some old-timey fucking thing.
They're like Johnny Rocket. They're great milkshakes. You know what you're getting. You're coming for the old school aesthetic, and it's there.
I had Johnny Rockets once, and they undercooked my burger, so...
That sucks.
Yeah.
I used to love their milkshakes as a kid.
Then again, it was at a Six Flags, so maybe it's just like a shitty place to have Johnny Rockets, but...
But I think all in all, EC3 belongs in AEW, and he'll do good things there.
Now I'm very curious what other people have as their analogies, so drop a comment below. What other companies or what other things? Are we going to be insensitive enough to say that, like, I don't know, some kind of like Lucha Underground version is Taco Bell, or are we going to say that that's more New Japan?
Well, New Japan is like...
New Japan's up there. They got to be one of the bigger ones, I think.
They're up there, yeah. They're like...
Are we going to call them Burger King?
The KFC. Like, you're getting kind of real food.
I'm getting so hungry. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like, I was not hungry before we started talking about this, and now I feel like my stomach's about to growl.
This is what you come to the hot tags for. You come for us talking about wrestling, and we always end up talking about food.
Good old snack talk.
It's snack talk. It really is.
Drop a comment below with your regular order. Do you get a crunch wrap at Taco Bell? Do you get the junior bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's? You one of those weird ass people that gets like the, I don't know, the soup option at Chick-fil-A instead of a fucking sandwich?
So outside of food, um, yeah, I would love to jump right into the Mania 37 thing. I don't think that's a big.
Yeah, it's not a big one, but it's something to talk about. WrestleMania next year, we know where it's going to be. It's going to be at, is it SoFi or Sophie? I think it's SoFi, right?
I'm going with SoFi.
Yeah. So Sofia Coppola Stadium, and it's taking place. They're billing it already as different variations. It's WrestleMania 37's going to Hollywood. It's going to be in Los Angeles, and it technically is going to be in Inglewood, California, which is a part of Los Angeles County, not Los
It's in
Angeles,
Los
the
Angeles.
city.
They're never going to say Inglewood. I'm sorry.
They are never once going to say Inglewood over the course of this entire next year. Guaranteed. It is always going to be Hollywood or LA. 100%.
It's going to be Hollywood, I think, 90% of the time.
If they say it'll be like WrestleMania is going to Hollywood and SoFi at SoFi Stadium in Hollywood in Los Angeles.
In Inglewood one time.
It'll be on those local things, you know, where it's like, hey, WWE fans, Inglewood, California is that kind of crap.
It's hosting WrestleMania. Come see Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Quick note on those little things. Since the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is happening in Philly, I got an ad tonight on Raw that
did you get it too?
Oh, you got that? Good. The advertisement of the 6 people that's supposed to be involved, which may or may not be true because card subject to change.
Corbin, Nakamura, Strowman, Ryan, and Roman, right?
Yep. So that struck me as kind of strange that Rude would be in there.
Yeah.
You know, if anything, I would think that like Nakamura would get taken out and Ziggler would also be put in there. So it'd be the 3 of them, or you take Rude out and you replace him with.
Well, but it's February, Tony. Ziggler's mandated 4-month run at the top of the card is over.
That's true. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, WrestleMania 37 going to the whole LA kind of scenario, and the rumors were, and it's unfounded right now, but it kind of played out a little bit more on that range, is that next year is going to be the LA thing. The year after that, it's going to be Vegas, and then the year after that is Philly, correct?
Now so Vegas for 2022, I've heard a lot. 2023, I've heard Atlanta, I've heard Philly. I'd like to see it go to Philly. It hasn't been in Philly since WrestleMania 15 with Rock and Austin, so that's a long time ago. That's well before they started doing the big stadium. So, there is that. I would love to see WrestleMania get a second shot in Vegas and them not do the fucking toga party.
Fuck that. Do the toga party.
Yeah, I almost feel like they would. Just as like all right, we're in Vegas, Mania, get your togas.
Have people come out on the same animals. Well, not the same ones, because I'm sure they're dead by now. But like, that's horribly depressing to say. I don't know. I went down that direction.
Well, it's been 26 years.
Yeah, it's true. They're dead. Let's move on. And have your allusions to those kind of things. I'd be cool with that.
I would love that.
I guess if they did go to Philly, they'd be at Lincoln Financial Field. I mean, it's like the biggest one.
I hate the stadium names these days.
Yeah,
they're not fun. Like, they're just not fun at all.
It's just sponsored crap.
Yeah, it's like, we're at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in the Pepsi Arena. It's like, can't you be like Skydome?
Yeah.
I always think about Skydome. Skydome was amazing.
Even like the Silverdome, I had in my area, I had the Core States Spectrum. And even though Core States was, bank and whatever like that, to me, the Spectrum, I was like, ooh, it sounds kind of like, was this like a fancy planetarium or something like
I love the Rosemont Horizon instead of the Allstate Arena.
Yeah, that's a cool name too. Allstate Arena, not obviously all that much. Like that, bring that back. Give us more, I don't know, alternatives to the KFC Yum Center.
It can be the Yummy Center in Portland, Oregon, or whatever the fuck. But it can be owned by the company, but just call it something cool.
Yeah, that's the whole point, though. They want to have that name. So every time you're going there, it's the TD Garden.
Why? Are you gonna... Realistically, if you go to the Lincoln Financial Center in Philadelphia, are you like, oh man, I need to bank with Lincoln Financial?
Right. Citizens Bank Park.
It's like, oh fuck, I need to get to Citizens Bank right now.
Yeah. Instead, you're sitting there going, $9 for a fucking cheesesteak? It's like, yeah.
The Pepsi arena, where's my free Pepsi? I don't get that. Well, then what the fuck is the Pepsi arena for?
Yeah. Should be the center of all Pepsi. It's that's the WrestleMania thing. Yeah, so, I mean, they could play around with that quite a bit. Like, they could have some fun times, like they did before, where they were making like the parodies of different movies and stuff. Bring that back. That's super cool.
I fully expect that. I fully expect to see like NXT, but it's the Warriors, or Mandy Rose doing Mandy Rose and Otis doing When Harry Met Sally. Can you fucking imagine? There's no way they carry that angle for a year, but can you imagine Mandy Rose and Otis doing the When Harry Met Sally bit? That would be so good.
I feel like they could have so much fun with so many of those things. And not even have to be, obviously, like classic movies. They could do more modern things. They don't have to do modern things. They could do classic things. Like, they could kind of mix the two up. They could just go with whatever fits, like how they did like Taxi Driver before. Like, Taxi Driver wasn't around at that time. It's been decades.
Yeah, they had Undertaker do Dirty Harry. They had Triple H did Braveheart, which Drew McIntyre should do Braveheart because he's Scottish.
Totally.
I think you could do something fun with the women, like have Becky Lynch do
Kill Bill.
Oh my god, yeah, I guess that's an obvious one, but yeah.
Yeah, like she's a big fan of that, so
I think you would need to do a Pulp Fiction again. Just find two guys, even if it's like the Street Profits.
Who could do Forrest Gump?
Otis.
And then Mandy Rose can be Jenny.
I just want to see Otis do all the things.
That's the gimmick of next year, is just all the films, but it's all Otis. So you just go through classic movies, and it's like Raging Bull, but it's like Raging Otis, Raging Doze, like that kind of thing.
Except Shorty G needs to do Space Jam somehow.
Everybody get up. Except for you, you're short.
Oh no, he could do Stuart Little or something. Like, there's options.
Man, I really want to go down like a deep dive on that, but I know
Alexa Bliss doing like what was that one that?
Sorry, I'm not sure about.
Shut up, Alexa. Well, the movie. I want to say Enchanted. Remember when the Disney characters came to life?
Was that Amy Adams, I think?
Yeah.
It sounds like it might have been Enchanted, yeah.
And then, like, you do all of The Rock's movies, but never have The Rock.
No, that's totally Otis.
Yeah, like, Otis is The Rock, and then The Rock is just like a tree. You know what I'm saying?
Oh god, you want to really piss off the whole like Hollywood scene? Do Fast and Furious, but The Rock plays Vin Diesel's part, and it just makes him like a complete jackass or something.
Well, I was thinking you do Fast and Furious, but you have like you never mention Cena and you never mention Rock. Like, you just play along with these things. I could go on forever. Like, this is a really bad deep dive. So, in conclusion, that is why The Rock should be the host of the Oscars.
Yeah. Go and listen to our Oscars talk. We did that last night. And if you are more interested in more movie discussion, that's over on fanboysanonymous.com. While I'm at it, let's plug fanboysanonymous.com. It's fanboysanonymous.com. That's what it is. It's the site where you'll find all the movie talk. And, if there's going to be something about video games, it's going to be there. If there's going to be something about TV shows, you're going to find it there. So if you want more Fanboys Anonymous content, and hit up the Patreon for that. And if you donate to the Pick Your Poison tier or anything else like that, then there's going to be more content, because the more I can do that, the less I have to focus on other things. So that is something to be aware of. Obviously, if I'm talking about the Patreon already, you could do that for smarkoutmoment.com as well. And if you want to be getting access to the Darkcast podcasts, all you got to do is donate $10 or more. Everything higher than that, you still get access to that. And the Pick Your Poison tier is the same. It's active on both of them. So yeah, that's where you specifically request different kinds of gimmicks. And then I have the time to actually edit the things and record the things. So then we do the things. That's the point. So yeah, more movie stuff on fanboysanonymous.com. And the Patreon is the way to get stuff from both that and from Smark Out Moment.
But for real, they totally induct The Rock next year, right?
It kind of has to be. Yeah. I mean, they're not doing it in Florida a bunch of different times. If they don't do it next year, they're insane.
Then they're waiting for, New York City. A real, we're going back to the Garden. Speaking of going back to the Garden, real quick, you're not a New Japan guy, but they're going back to the Garden August 22nd.
No embargo type thing?
It's going to be called Wrestle Dynasty. It's just them. No Ring of Honor as of yet. No National Wrestling Alliance as of yet. It sounds like it's just going to be, New Japan doing a Wrestle Dynasty show in Madison Square Garden on the night of NXT Takeover Boston.
Boston.
SummerSlam's in Boston.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's if they do that. They didn't announce it, did they?
They did.
They do have Takeover Boston announced?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, it's happening.
So
you heard it here second,
back at that again, Tony.
That's great. Too many things.
And by the way, this is totally not even knowing when All Out is taking place this year.
Oh God, that's true. Oh no, please don't do that again this year. But we did just talk about the Hall of Fame, and that's a good transition for the fact that this is something that may or may not be true. Take it with a grain of salt or whatever like that. But Brad Shepard had reported that they are purposely not announcing Hall of Famers because they want to keep it a surprise, not just for us, but for the Hall of Famers. And the idea behind this is that Jimmy Johnson, part of the NFL side of things, that they had done this surprise Hall of Fame announcement for him, and that supposedly, reportedly, allegedly, whatever you want to fucking call it, that Vince and company saw that. They thought that was neat, and they want to do that for the Hall of Famers, which two questions come up for me with that. Number one, totally didn't do that with the people that you announced already, so when did you come across this?
Well, because the Jimmy Johnson thing just happened. 2 weeks ago or something.
Oh, okay. Well, then even still, they should have announced maybe some other ones. They probably did announce some backstage ahead of time. Question number two, why is this supposed to be a good idea other than that initial moment, which it would have been a surprise no matter what? Because what are they going to do? Are they going to have people show up at a WWE event and record them while they're telling them that? Yeah, and then
just randomly be like, hey, so we're glad you're here. Let's, we're going to shoot an episode of Table for Three. And oh, by the way, you're going in the Hall of Fame.
Because to me, that seems like that's a lot of effort for that. And it's almost kind of potentially can get in the way of some things. Like, if I were doing the Hall of Fame stuff, I'd probably want to know who the Hall of Famers would be around WrestleMania for the next year. And that way I'd tell the people and go like, hey, look, unless things change, we're thinking about inducting these type of people. Let's get a hold of them. Let's make sure that there's no problems. Let's make sure that there's plenty of time for them to get their stuff sorted out. Because let's be honest, a lot of the people that are going into the Hall of Fame, it's their last hurrah. Maybe they want to get in shape better. Maybe they want to do research on their career to really know what to talk about. And it's February 11th. If they haven't told people by now, they're going to have like a month to get ready for that.
I think it's bullshit.
It could very well be.
It can't. Most notably, it comes from Brad Shepard, so you can almost just throw it right out the door.
Wouldn't it be funny though? Theoretically, it's not happening at all. But just devil's advocate, wouldn't it be interesting if they were like, hey, everybody, like if you tune in on Thursday night, it's the WWE Hall of Fame. This year we have the NWO in a way that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but just go with it. And we have Batista and TBD. And then you just, all these people are sitting there in the arena and stuff, and they're like, our next Hall of Famer is, and then it's like, brrr, and the spotlight comes around to the crowd. Alberto Del Rio or something. It's like, what? Oh my God, I'm the one. I gotta go up there and do a speech now. Like that.
Oh my God, I never saw this coming. I didn't even do anything.
And it's like full on Price is Right. Like you got the little name tag. And da-da-da-da-da. Like,
for that matter, Bob Barker's still alive. They should induct him into the celebrity wing.
Isn't he already in there?
No, I don't. If he's not, he should be.
I kind of feel like he might be. Let's see.
No, you're thinking of Drew Carey, the terrible host of the current Price is Right.
At least according to notinhalloffame.com, he's not in there yet. So.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, I've actually checked that website out quite a bit. There's a little plug, notinhalloffame.com. It has more than the WWE one, I'm pretty sure. So they do some good stuff. But that's something that may or may not be true. Of course, we don't know any more information. Anytime that they do release any more information, I update the page, and I've had like nothing to update in months. So we'll see how that plays out too. Let's talk about contracts. There are quite a bit of things about contracts on here. One of them being that they have signed a new female NXT referee. So
I'm kind of mad about this.
Why is that?
Because, like, she's good in the ring. You know, I get that you're stoked that you're signing your first black female referee, but, like, she's good in the ring.
I have not seen her in the ring.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Aja S. Smith, who wrestles under the name Aja Perera, and she's like tag team champions, or was recently in Shine with Big Swole. And like she's good, but they wanted her to do the refereeing. It's kind of like how Jessica was trained by the Dudley Boys, and she's okay in the ring. But
I mean, some people go down that road. John Cone was apparently a wrestler.
No. And now his son is more successful at the age of 11.
That's still so crazy to me, to be like, for the rest of your life, you can be like, yeah, I won a WWE title when I was 10, but, you know, just all the day's work.
Yep.
It's so crazy. But the referee stuff, I mean, if she's good in the ring, maybe they'll end up doing something with her more down the line. If she is a really good referee, I haven't seen her referee a match either, but...
Well, they showed that little clip of, like, her, you know, training to ref at the Performance Center. My thing is, like, man, people... You just get that dream to go to WWE, and even hearing, hey, listen, you're gonna be a ref, they just, like, break down and cry, because it's just like, man, I just want to work here.
Did you see that thing with Mercedes Martinez?
Mm-hmm.
About her, it's like a quick YouTube video. It's like 4 minutes long or something like that. And yeah, she's talking about the idea of like, well, I'm 39 and I had to go through more medical tests and all that. And it's like, you know, it really kind of puts it into perspective. Like she is older than a lot of the people that are being signed to WWE contracts or are being heavily featured now, like Rhea Ripley. She's more seasoned and older than that, yet she is now...
How old is Sarah? Like...
Which one? There's like 10 Sarahs.
Sarah Amato.
She's in her 40s, if I remember correctly.
Because, like, I always wanted her in a Rumble. You know, like, I always thought it was weird that they never put Sarah Del Rey in the Royal Rumble just to give her that moment. But like, she probably feels such great pride in the fact that she evolved the women to such an extent.
So she is 39, same as
Mercedes
Martinez.
Martinez. Like, she should be doing shit.
It is kind of weird that they haven't ever done anything with her other than for her to stand next to people and like hand the Mae Young Classic people their roses and stuff. Because I mean, they did a little bit with Sarah Stock. Like they had her wrestle, I think, on NXT.
Yeah.
And they had oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. Serena. They had her come back and she did the Mae Young Classic and she popped up in NXT. So it's not like they can't do that. And
I think she deserves it. But I also think she's probably so far removed from it. So maybe she's not like interested in doing that anymore.
Could be. Maybe she just doesn't want to take bumps. I don't know. I wouldn't. Hence why I never became a wrestler. One of the many, many reasons why I never became a wrestler. Although, man, I would totally want to be a fucking manager. That'd be so fun.
The manga tree.
Bring them all in.
Tony Mango and the Bad Seeds.
Sounds like a horrible band. Some doo-wop band from the 50s. Some Can't sing, so I wouldn't be good at that either. So I'd be terrible at. If we're talking contract stuff, let's talk about the fact that this is, again, reportedly, supposedly, all the other kind of things to go along with that to preface it, but some rumors going around that Triple H has, quote-unquote, made it his mission to sign Kazuchika Okada once his contract goes up. And I'm not surprised.
That is direct from Meltzer, right?
I forget already. I don't know. This is a couple days ago. I don't remember what I ate for dinner earlier.
Well, I believe it's from the most recent Observer. Listen, Kazuchika Okada is the best in the world. Like, that's legit. He's never gonna go to WWE. Ever.
Well, that's
never.
That's the second part of this, because the first part is Triple H looking to sign him? Why the fuck wouldn't he? Like,
yeah, like, I mean, you heard all the time, like in '98, they wanted to sign Hogan away from the NWO and WCW. But
yeah, if there's somebody that's out there who's popular and talented, they're gonna want to get the guy unless there's some kind of problem with them. And I haven't heard anything bad about Okada, and it's not like it's like guy's super talented, but like I don't know, racist as fuck or like something like that.
You
where
understand?
It would be
like if they sign Okada, he has to go straight to Raw.
Oh, it'd be weird as hell if he went to NXT. Yeah,
this dude dominated wrestling for like the last decade. He can't go to NXT. Nakamura shouldn't have even gone to NXT.
See, Nakamura, I kind of understood that at the time, but NXT's changed. And now we're at a point where if Okada were to go to NXT, I think that even though it's not considered a developmental thing the same as it used to be, there would still be more of a stigma than what it would have been before. Because at least when a couple years ago when they were doing NXT, it was almost like, well, part of it's the developmental system, part of it's the welcome wagon.
Yeah, you have to go through here unless you're like Asia.
And then now we've had a couple people that have been separated enough from that where it's like, no, you don't have to do that. Somebody like Killer Cross, yeah, he should go to NXT. He doesn't need to go straight to the main roster.
I think he could relatively skip the line.
I don't know anything about him, but I think that he's not as big of a name compared to Okada. So you tell me that one of them is going to go to NXT and one of them is going to go to Raw or SmackDown, I'm sending Okada to the main roster.
Oh, Okada needs to go to the main roster. If that were to ever happen, which it won't. Unfortunately, I would love to see Okada versus Randy Orton, for example, or like Okada versus Roman Reigns, like the guys that you just know, like he's fought AJ. You know, there's a good chance that one day he might face Daniel Bryan, but like I would like to see him against full
Otis.
blown WWE guys. Otis, like he would have fun with that. You know, like Okada is just so good. By the way, again, you don't watch New Japan, but you should, and you should watch Jon Moxley versus Minoru Suzuki. It was violent, it was beautiful, it was everything that you could ever want. And there was an unprotected chair shot to the head of like a 50-plus-year-old man.
Now that Jon Moxley guy, here's somebody that WWE should sign.
You know, but I think he might need to go through NXT.
I think he might need to. You know, Jon Moxley's been around, but he's only been around in CZW, and you know, outside of that, somebody out there's like, these fucking idiots don't know that it's Dean Ambrose. It's
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
Just us, we know we're being dicks. Yeah, Okada's not coming to WWE, I would assume, unless there's some kind of. I mean, stranger things have happened. Weird stuff could go down. One of the topics we're talking about is we're going to get later on the whole idea of WWE not even having Vince McMahon in control anymore. You never know what's going to happen. So there is a chance that maybe something happens like that. But I'd put it out there as that there's at least an 85% chance that he doesn't go.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'll say 99.9, but I will leave that 0.1% open because you never know what's going to happen.
Another contract-related thing, Rusev has been spoken of as being kept off television due to contract dispute issues. However, we already know that he's been advertised for something at Super Showdown. Now, we will do a deeper dive on the Super Showdown match itself when we get to the predictions, but they announced it tonight that it's the I already forgot what it is. I keep wanting to call it the Kuwait Cup, but it's
the
to wake.
It's
Mount to wake is what they're basing this off of, but it's the to wake trophy gauntlet match, and it's going to have AJ Styles, which that means that he's ready to go. Andrade, which means that his suspension would be over and that they're willing to just pick right up afterward. Bobby Lashley, Eric Rowan, R-Truth, and Rusev. So Rusev and Lashley are going to be in the same match, and Eric Rowan's just like sort of there, and R-Truth is sort of there. But
and AJ Styles is back, and Andrade, that's his return from suspension.
Yeah, so that's the type of thing that we will talk about who could potentially win and how that's going to go down when we do our predictions. But that does mean the Styles and Andrade stuff, and it also means the Rusev thing. So the fact that they're putting Rusev in that match and he's not being completely kept off of television.
I hope R-Truth says, I won the Kuwait Cup.
I really hope so. That'd be so great. Or if it's like, I'm the new World Cup, I'm the best in the world, or, you know, like he's got to do something like that. For that matter, I want him to win the whole thing, because why not? But that's something that kind of speaks against the idea that Rusev is being kept off TV for contract stuff. Maybe he signed the contract today. Maybe that's complete and utter bullshit, and there was never contract issues. But at the very least, we know that he's being advertised to show up on the 2017th. Why is that something that I want to make a thing?
The 2017th.
That is the second time this week that I have said the 2017th. What is there something on the 17th? Is that where I'm like harping on that?
Well, that's next Monday and Takeover Sunday.
Something in my brain's like 2017th is a thing. Do that from now on.
2017, was that a good year for you?
But I remember like anything to be like, I'm harped on that in 2020. If you're somebody who understands why I've got that in my brain, drop a comment below. Tell me what the hell's wrong with me. Another contract-related thing, Taynara, or whatever you want to refer to her as, Taynara Conti, she has, again, reportedly, they're looking crap, blah, 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 walked out of NXT due to a financial dispute, which may or may not be something related to the idea that they were getting their pay raises, and maybe she thought that that wasn't good enough. Maybe she wasn't somebody who actually got a pay raise, or maybe she didn't want to sign that 3-year contract that is going around that is part of the pay raise. if indeed that is true. I say if that's the case, and if it's true that they cleaned out her locker, oh well.
I messaged you this because actually Fightful broke the story. So I was privy to it when it dropped. And yeah, she walked out. She kind of debunked this on Twitter, but I'm kind of like, whatever if she did, because she wasn't breaking any ground. You know?
Well, anytime somebody disputes something as well, it still doesn't mean that that's necessarily true either. I mean, look what happened with Edge. For
Look what
weeks,
happened
it's
with
like
Toy Ross.
months and stuff. It's like, no, I'm not making a return or whatever. Oh, look, I made my return. They're gonna.
But I feel like he could get away with that due to the severity of what was going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's clamoring for Taynara to be in NXT.
No, that's a big difference. But I mean, like, if she says that that didn't happen, doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Now, it could mean that it didn't happen. You know, I wouldn't like write it off as that she's like a liar or something like that. But you know, plenty of people say that they don't do things that they do because it makes them look bad. And if she walked out from some kind of financial issue and she's saying I didn't do that because she doesn't want people to think that she's like being spoiled or something like that, then I don't know. There's some kind of truth, or maybe there isn't. Unless we're there, we're not sure. I don't care. You know, if she doesn't end up showing back up in NXT, I don't think it's that much of a loss.
She had the best match ever with Santana Garrett on NXT last year.
I mean, that's like, if you were Cameron, you have to say that that's your favorite match of all time, right?
But here's the thing. I'm sorry, I said it again.
What's it boil down to?
It boils down to this: if you don't have Catalina and you don't have Taynara, we're running out of like people to rag on for the end of the year awards.
That's true. I think that this is the type of thing where I'll fully believe it when I get some kind of an announcement that she's gone. If she doesn't, then
Do you
I'm
think
just
they
gonna.
announce it?
It could be. I mean, they're weird with that. Sometimes they go out of their way to put something up on the website that says WWE has come to terms with the release of so and so and wish them the best in their future endeavors. Sometimes it's just sort of like, hey, Sin Cara popped up somewhere, he's gone. Or sometimes they do a big send off like they did with Dean Ambrose. And you know, I think that if they got to a point where Taynara was gone, I think they just remove her from the Performance Center site.
Have they done that as of yet?
Actually, haven't bothered to check that. I didn't check the WWE.com Superstar page either, which, by the way, I did check the tickets page, and it's been glitching out for me. I don't know if anybody else is having this issue, but when you click on the tickets page, it automatically loads your location, and you can't check any location but your own. I mean, you can check,
Weird.
like, if you type out, like, oh, I want to look up, like, you know, France or something like that. Like, you can check it, but you can't just click on all tickets anymore, which is a real pain in the ass, because that means, like, every week now, when I'm trying to get a list of, like, where the next episode of Raw and SmackDown is going to be, I have to, like, figure out some weird URL crap. Let's see if Taynara is on this thing here. Let's load this WWE Superstars page, which now they got them all lumped in together, so you have to load like hundreds of people's profiles, which is kind of annoying. Taynara is still on the WWE.com stuff, so that's something. Let's see the Performance Center page, because there might be a little bit of a difference there. Usually the NXT people, they kind of take them out of that a little bit sooner in some fashion. She's actually, wow, she's one of the featured people. So I don't know about believing that all that much.
We'll see what happens.
She's actually on the homepage of the Performance Center page.
It could be a thing where she has a dispute and maybe they patched it up already.
Maybe.
You never know.
Or maybe the dispute never even happened. Or maybe this is one of those things that's blown out of proportion where she's like, I'm making that much? Ah, come on. And they're like, yep. She goes, okay. And it's 2 seconds worth of stuff. Financial dispute. You know, I'm feeling like if she sticks around, okay. If she doesn't, cool with that too. It's just Taynara. It's not like we're losing like Roman or something. One person
Yeah.
that did lose something though is Buddy Murphy. He
Yeah,
lost
he
his
lost
first
something.
name.
Oh, buddy. He's not our buddy guy.
This is the second time that he lost that first name.
He's got the record so far.
I mean, Mustafa Ali, he got his name taken away and then he got it put back.
Apollo Crews, same thing.
Apollo Crews got it taken away, got it put back. We never got Big E back with Langston. We never got Samson back for Elias. We never got Antonio Cesaro or Alexander Rusev or
Adrian Neville.
Yeah, Adrian Neville's another one of those. There are people here and there that just don't get their names back. I'm really shocked that they never took out Sullivan from Lars. It just made him Lars. But now it seems like he's just Murphy. And they already messed it up on Raw tonight because the very first time they're talking about him, like, buddy, I'm sorry, just Murphy. I'm sorry, like that kind of thing. It's stuff so stupid. If you didn't think that somebody named Buddy Murphy could sound intimidating, don't name him Buddy Murphy.
Ooh, you look just like Buddy Murphy.
It's not going to change the guy. Like, it's not like he's going to go from being like a talented performer to not. But it's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't get it. I made the joke, but I'm kind of serious. I want to see if when he turns face again, if they add the buddy back, because he can be your buddy again.
Wouldn't shock me. And it's just like, well, now he has to be just Murphy. Because now I believe that he can beat me up instead of before, even though he's got muscles and he fucking beats people up for a living. Stupid. They'll go out of their way to take Buddy away from his name, but they still won't name this stable.
Yeah, I'm kind of bothered by that. Why do they have this stable going for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and you're not naming them? Even if it's just like something stupid like the Disciples of Rollins or like the Seth Rollins family or something. Just give me something.
Yeah, instead of the stable of Seth Rollins and Murphy and AOP. Hate it. We're talking about contract stuff. Let's talk about this one. This is another one. The Rock's daughter is now officially signed to WWE. Simone Johnson has been appearing for the Performance Center here and there for the past couple of months or so. And I guess that they've been good enough that they decided, let's give her a contract. She's, I think, like 18, 19, something like that. Maybe she's got potential.
How old she is. Maybe she's 20 now.
But yeah, 48.
I mean, at least 35.
I have not seen her in the ring. I have not seen her cut a promo.
Nobody has.
Yeah, so there's no way to judge anything to be like, watch out for her. Like we haven't seen it.
She's The Rock's daughter. This is very strategic. They just lost Rocky Johnson. It is what it is, but it's very much a strategy.
If she wasn't The Rock's daughter, would she have gotten into the thing to begin with? Who knows? But just because she is The Rock's daughter doesn't mean that she's going to end up being The Rock. And I think a lot of people are going to be going back and forth between zero expectations and far too much expectations. So when Simone Johnson, or whatever she wants to call herself, because I'd be kind of curious too. Roxanne, maybe.
Ooh, Roxanne. Roxanne.
If she ends up, being able to cut a promo like no other, and she's crazy athletic and picks it right up and everything, then that's awesome. But there's plenty of people that have come through the mix that aren't their dad or aren't their mom or whatever. We had Slam Master Jay. We had Manu. We had
Woo!
Sim Snuka.
Woo!
If you you remember some of these people, some of them don't work out all that well.
We had
And
Tamina Snuka. Woo!
yeah.
I don't know.
Cody Rhodes
Okay.
is a guy that makes it. And Randy Orton is a guy that surpasses his dad. And Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair. So it happens.
Well, I'm gonna hit you with the here's the thing again. Because here's the thing. When Rocky and Randy became, the third generation in this incredible, all due respect to Bob Orton Jr., he main evented WrestleMania 1, was a big territory star, was not a top star in WWF to the level of his son, and his son had an easier path to superseding him. All due respect to the groundbreaking athlete that was Soul Man Rocky Johnson. The Rock had a global platform, and he just so happens to be the most charismatic man alive. Charlotte, and I think this is where it becomes important for Simone, Charlotte had the lucky thing of being able to go, yeah, my dad's Ric Flair, and he did it for 4 years, and now I'm getting into it, but I'm going to change the game for the women. Now with Simone, she does have the added pressure of all right, your dad is not just a wrestler, your dad is the fucking wrestler. He's the guy that people think of when they think of wrestling. But you also can say, but you're the first, fourth generation female. You're first, fourth generation anything, but on top of that, you're female. So you're already making history just by lacing up a pair of boots. And if you go the Rocky Maivia route and you end up sucking, you're still okay because your dad provided precedent that you can just turn a negative into a positive. I think she's covered on almost all grounds, but I'm not going to have a single lick of expectations for her.
I am not looking at her as being the next Charlotte Flair. And she very well could be. And she could be better. And she could be better than The Rock. It's well in the realm of possibility. But to me, my completely blind expectations are that she's going to pan out to be more of a Shaw Guerrero. Doesn't.
So you don't think she'll be able to physically handle it?
Maybe not. And maybe just doesn't have that same charisma and gets into the business because it's something that it's in the family. But, how many people in the Hart family aren't Brett or Owen? Bruce Hart.
Don't ask Bruce, because Bruce will tell you that he's better.
Yeah. And there's people that are in the Samoan whole dynasty that
Manu.
I mean, I mentioned Manu earlier, but Rosie was not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And even though the Wild Samoans were a big deal as a tag team, you're not equating them the same as you equate Rikishi going off and doing something separate, or Roman Reigns.
I think you're thinking of the head triggers because you said Rikishi, but yeah, there's gonna be duds.
No, I'm talking about the Wild Samoans being a tag team. They didn't split and go separate on their own and become Alpha. It's headlining, that kind of thing. But there's plenty of people in the mix with any other families and stuff. You could name tons and tons of people from tons and tons of families. Hell, look at DiBiase.
That's the one I was going to go to next.
We got Brett DiBiase and we got Ted DiBiase coming from Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase tries to make his run and he doesn't live up to his dad. Brett DiBiase doesn't even get much of a chance. And now he's
in jail.
Apparently arrested with some kind of big embezzlement thing or something like that.
So, I thought everybody had a price. The thing about Ted and he's another focal point for me when I talk about Simone, because I think on the negative end of things, you look at what Ted had to live up to, and it was so good that he just couldn't do it. Curtis Axel, same thing. Just so good that he couldn't do it. There's a chance that Simone hits that, and that's when I think the gender difference might benefit her.
Yeah.
And then you just dive into the realm of fantasy for 5 seconds. She's the daughter of The Rock, granddaughter of Soul Man Rocky Johnson, great granddaughter of the High Chief Peter Maivia. Somewhere in there, there's the Wild Samoans, Roman Reigns, all this Yokozuna, all this bloodline, right?
The bloodline, yeah. I mean, that's
and then you factor in she's being trained by Sarah Del Rey, who's one of the best independent female wrestlers of all time, and overseeing the entirety of this, Shawn Michaels and Triple H,
and William Regal's in the mix.
She's got the lab around her to become the greatest fucking thing ever. And I really just want to see how she shakes out.
Yeah. And I guess we're going to find that out in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10
Might
years.
Even be three. I mean, Rocky did it quick. Because I think Rock started training in 95, and by November 96, he was on Star Series. So Rocky did it quick. That's another thing. Rock isn't Ric Flair. Dude got in and got out. Simone can see a through line for everything that she wants. If she wants to branch off into movies, she can do that relatively in 3 years after she's, wrestled everything and done what she needs to do, because her dad did it.
And if she is 18, I think that's what it was, then she is young, and that is very important. To be able to have, she could have, realistically, she could have 10 years worth of training and start getting into her prime. Like, that's crazy too. That's interesting. I think that might be one of the only other contract related things that we got going on, unless you kind of count this as being a separate sort of contract thing. But supposedly, NWA Powerrr was supposed to be on the WWE Network. That's something that had been rumored a long, long while ago. Remember how there was all those discussions that WWE was talking to all these other companies about how they could bring their shows onto the network, and everybody kind of speculated that NWA might be a part of it, and Impact might be a part of it, and then obviously
Chikara, I think, was spoken to.
Yeah, Chikara, the UK side of things, like, oh, we're gonna put Progress on there, we're gonna put, any of these other things, maybe even like AAA or something. Like, there were a lot of discussions about that, and it just fizzled out, didn't end up becoming a thing. And now it seems like that it was potentially true, that Dave Lagana was talking to the WWE Network people about putting NWA Powerrr on that. Obviously, it didn't happen.
I think it would have really panned out well.
I think so too. I think that it's a mistake that they didn't do that.
Yeah, it would have worked out well for everybody involved.
Now that does bring up it opens a can of worms when it comes to, like, well, if the NWA Powerrr stuff was on the WWE Network, would WWE own the NWA? Or would they just be putting a show on there of another company that they have no direct control over?
They own the best parts of the NWA. Really think about it. Like, they own the fun shit. The Flair stuff, the Crockett stuff, the Dusty Rhodes stuff.
Yeah, but not the actual company.
They don't own, like, the IP of, like, the National Wrestling Alliance. Nah.
And I can't see WWE wanting to put other companies on their network and endorse it as being a part of the WWE family without having some control. Because there's going to be instances where something happens, and like the Jim Cornette thing. Would WWE want to have it be something that like, well, we're not going to actually control what happens on these shows. And if something happens and people can tie it directly to WWE, we're just going to say, well, that's not really our thing, because people are going to do that. People will always jump into that. Even
The
if it's
Jim Cornette
not,
thing would have never happened had WWE had the reins. They
if
would have,
they actually
if it
went
happened,
through and did the control of the whole thing.
if it happened, they would have been like, nope, you're gonna re-record that.
But that's if they're paying attention. Like, if they were to put this stuff on the network and not pay any attention to anything, they're just sort of licensing it out in some kind of weird way, that could happen. Because there's only so many people that they can really have in the company. They can't be stretched too thin. So that strikes me as something that wouldn't be a thing. I would think that if WWE were to put NWA Powerrr in there, they would have bought NWA. And it would have been like, kind of like Evolve to a certain extent, where they have somebody in charge that they trust and they have some separation, but it's clear that they're sort of in the system. Now, something happens at Evolve with like contracts. It's not a WWE contract, so it's not the same thing, but Evolve shows aren't being put on the network. You know what I mean?
Right. And at least they had the one. And we keep hearing about a premium tier, but I guess we're going to get more into that when we talk about the Q4 investor call and everything.
Well, before we get into that thing, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. People have been wanting us to continue this, so we're going to continue it. That's kind of the point.
I enjoy that. I enjoy this part.
It's kind of a shame we don't have the time and everything to do that for some of the other shows, but it's a good way to kind of backtrack and just talk about some extra little bullet points. Because, for instance, one of the things that happened tonight was that Becky Lynch retained the Raw Women's Championship over Asuka. And after that, Shayna Baszler made her attack, and she bit the neck of Becky Lynch. And that's how they're introducing the WrestleMania storyline.
All right, what vibe did you get from the betting thing?
I still don't like the idea that this was the way that they're going about it, because I kind of feel like they sort of like did preferential treatment to give it to Charlotte when they could have just done the Shayna Baszler thing, but it's different. It's not like she just attacked her and wailed on her with her fists, and then that was it. They did something to get people talking, so I'm okay with that.
I like that you're not like, oh, she's a vampire, because everybody was like, oh my god, are they gonna make her a vampire?
It's no, come on.
I immediately thought Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Holyfield, that whole thing.
That's right, like logic.
Yeah, dude, I mean, if she would have came out dressed up as fucking Kevin Thorne, I would have thought she was a vampire. But she bit her neck because it's just like she wants to take a bite out of the champion. She wants to mess her up and get in her head, even if she has to bite through it. Like, it's not that she's sucking her blood.
Funny way to get in the head.
Randy Orton's got a different way. He's more of like the how to crack a nut kind of thing.
Right, like he's gonna kick it open, or he's gonna take 2 chairs and smash it open.
Baszler's a biter, I guess. Very interesting that that's the story that they went with, though. Like, I'm curious if that's something that they thought of like tonight, or if this has been a plan for like weeks, where they're like, I know what we'll do. Baszler's gonna bite your neck. But it's interesting. People are gonna be talking about it. It's not too stupid to be like, eye rolling. So I'm okay with it.
I like it.
Then we had the Street Profits. Oh, I already skipped something, by the way. 13 minutes at the beginning of the show to set up the 8-man tag that they had already announced. It's absolutely stupid and ridiculous. If you're not going to incorporate any purposeful point of a promo at the beginning of the show, and all you're going to do is say, we advertised this ahead of time, let's have somebody talk about how that's going to happen again, and have 30 seconds worth of a fight. Oh, it's going to tease you for late. Dumb. It's a waste of 13 minutes. But Street Profits beat Mojo Rawley and Riddick Moss. And I guess they're not a thing anymore either already after like 2 weeks because Riddick Moss turns on Mojo Rawley, pins him, and wins the 24/7 championship.
Which is what he should have done on day one.
Either from day one or they should have dragged this out longer. I think that this is a mistake.
Right.
I actually kind of liked the idea of a group of people that are into the football side of things. I haven't seen XFL. I mean, some people might have wanted us to talk about the XFL on
the games were fine.
I'm not a big football guy, and if this would have been on a week where I was not as busy, I am 100%.
I think because you've not been where you were, you've had a cutting game.
So I'm not in my hometown this past week. I'm dealing with plenty of other things. If I would have been at home, bored out of my mind, or just at home, not super busy, not working on e-wrestling news, not working on Bleacher Report, not working on this, and I'm working on that, I 100% would have watched the game, even though I'm not a big football guy. And at some point, I'm going to watch these next couple of games or something like that. So I'll talk about XFL in some fashion somewhere. But I liked the idea that Raleigh and Moss and potentially some other people could have been brought in the mix too. They could have had like a whole like football team's worth of this is our running back and this is our, what, like just kind of go along with that. That would have been kind of fun, I think.
It would have been, but I think they had McIntyre squash Mojo, and then they were like, oh shit, what do we do now? I know, let's just have Riddick Moss win the 24/7 title and we can try to do something with him. Sorry, Mojo.
At this point, can we just write off Mojo entirely?
Yeah.
Like, this is now the 4th, I think, gimmick that they tried to do. They didn't care. They didn't give it a whole lot of faith. They didn't try. So that's a shame. Riddick Moss is still the champion, though, as far as I know. I don't think they had him change it.
Yeah, he walked away with the title.
They didn't put anything on like .com or something like that.
Not that I saw. God, I hope not.
Just double check the YouTube page because sometimes they do this kind of stuff where it's just like, oh, backstage this happened later on and it's a Fallout video or something like that. But right now, I'm not seeing anything on there. The most recent thing is just Riddick Moss sings his own praises after betrayal. So I'll put that on my watch later playlist and stuff. Maybe that is the case. And if that's the case, I'll be tracking it on the website. If you go to the title reign section, even the 24/7 championship is tracked on there. So that's something. MVP came back. He hosted
the VIP lounge.
Yeah, the VIP lounge. I had to add 2 of those people with the rope thing, the security rope, into my list of extra characters for the year. They're not going to be winning best. They didn't really do anything. But his guest was Drew McIntyre, and it was basically MVP going like, hey, I'm back. Also, I'm a heel. Haha, fuck you all. And I want to be Drew McIntyre's advocate. McIntyre's response was essentially, nope, don't need one. And he hit him with Claymore. I liked it.
I wonder if he's back.
I got a vibe that when he came out and they said that they were going to do the VIP lounge, I was like, okay, maybe what happened here is he said that was going to be his last match. WWE caught wind of it and said, come on, maybe you don't want to retire. And he said, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And they went, you want to be a producer?
Here's some money.
We liked having you back. We missed you. It wouldn't shock me at all if we get some kind of an announcement that he's officially signed to WWE and that over the course of the next weeks, months, later this year, something like that.
He's a Heyman guy. You know that, right?
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's a Heyman guy.
That all the more reason then. He does say that his in-ring career with WWE is over, and he did say tonight, even though my in-ring career is in my past and whatever like that. So I, never say never. Edge is back. Daniel Bryan came back. Crazier things happen. But it wouldn't shock me if he doesn't wrestle anymore. Or maybe he does wrestle here and there a little bit, but it's not a big focal point. But if he wants to wrestle elsewhere, I would think that there's a very good chance he puts something in a deal and he says, I want to do a farewell tour on these other companies, come back around, and he works with WWE.
I'm into the idea of a manager because I like them.
He's a good talker. He knows how to carry himself. That's what you need, And I think that more managers can really be helpful. There's a lot of people in WWE that can't talk. And if he could be their mouthpiece, that'd be great. And Drew McIntyre doesn't need to be one of them, obviously, and that's kind of the point, but I'm cool with MVP coming into the mix a little bit more.
I would love to see MVP manage, get the Street Profits under his belt, utilize talents like Cedric. Or
Cedric would need it.
Cedric needs it. He's vanilla.
Yeah, Street Profits don't need it. I mean, Montez.
But they're good. You know how like Lesnar needs it, but Punk didn't need it, and Heyman worked with both?
Yeah, that's true. Just because you can talk doesn't mean that you can't have somebody else that accompanies you.
Yeah, then he becomes a little annoying runt that's just like, did you hear what he said? Yeah. I like it. I like the MVP. MVP is a guy, and it's funny because we're going to talk about this a lot next week on the Hot Tags. WWE is running their Ruthless Aggression documentary. And over the past, month, really ever since 2020 started, I've been feeling heavy nostalgia for, the days that I was growing up. And you saw, Edge is back, and MVP is a thing again, and Miz and Morrison are a thing. It really feels like, all right, the people my age are starting to get jobs there, and they're starting to be like, yeah, but I thought this was cool, so let's bring this back around.
Are we slowly getting to the point where we're going to be like, whatever happened to Bam Neely?
Yes!
What year was that? Was it 2010?
2008.
2008?
We're going to fucking get there, man.
Bam Neely. that guy gets more fucking talk on Smark Moment than he has anywhere else in this.
Are we going to induct him in the Hall of Fame?
You should just find this guy. What's this guy's real name? Justin Ruchelau? I don't know if Ruchelau. Justin Bruce Rochelau. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry, Bam Neely. Here's a little Bam Neely trivia. These are some other names that he went by over the past. Now I have his Wikipedia page up. He went by Bam Neely, of course. He went by Hellfire.
All right.
Hellraiser Guts.
Hell yeah.
As part of a tag team alongside Hellraiser Blood.
Blood and Guts.
Blood and Guts, the Hellraisers. That was their name. Oh man, I wish I could have seen that. He also went by Justin LaRouche, so I guess that's closer to how he spells his name, or how he pronounces his name. And also Magnus Maximus.
That's a porn star name.
Bam Neely. ECW 2008 to 2009.
Superstar, but that's a porn star name.
Yeah, Magnus Maximus. Check him out on Pornhub.
that is you're sticking your faking people.
Yeah, I mean, we could get some of these weird things going along.
Just Jerry Lawler had said on his podcast, Kelly is going to be coming back.
That's right. That was another story that I forgot to add into the hot tags. She might be on a semi-regular basis or something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of something. Kelly was never really the best in the ring, but
there's this weird, and I always harp on this because it really does bother me. There's a really strong nostalgia for divas right now, and it's very clear that while that era might not have inspired too many women wrestlers, it definitely inspired a lot of the queer wrestlers that we're seeing now. Everybody's like, oh man, my idol was Candice Michelle. I've seen a lot of the Garris would be like, I loved Kelly growing up. So it's clear that that's who was inspired by Divas.
That's interesting.
It is interesting because I like hearing shit like that because it shows me that, like, yeah, there was a purpose to all this. Like, it might not have been satiating my appetite with, pure wrestling, but people did get into wrestling because of Kelly Kelly.
There's something for everybody. That's that kind of thing. And everything is for someone, kind of the opposite side of things. Somebody out there thought that Hornswoggle under the ring lawyer segment that I always go back to as being one of the worst things I've ever seen in the history of WWE. Somebody thought that was hilarious.
So I remember, I think I was like 15. No, I was 16 when that happened. I thought it was funny when it happened, because, like, they always used to do these weird things with DX that, like, Shawn was smart, even though Triple H was clearly the more younger, hip guy of the two. But, like, Shawn understood that, like, yeah, don't you know that the little people just have the entirety of the under the ring? Like, look, there's a whole world down here. It was funny then. I tried to watch it just not last night, but the night before. Couldn't do it.
I remember watching that and being like, my God, I think I might have to stop watching wrestling again. But somebody liked it. Somebody wanted to put it out there. Somebody thought that was quality entertainment stuff, and a lot of people watched it and enjoyed it. So there's plenty of things for different people out there, and someone's favorite wrestler of all time might be Eric Escobar. Probably no.
That's not happy. That's not real.
Not even Eric Escobar?
Not even Eric Escobar's favorite wrestler is Eric Escobar.
Moving on, we had Angel Garza get attacked by Marta
much
Carrillo.
Better than Eric Escobar, just over
much better. I mean, there's you're comparing filet mignon to dirt. I don't know. He gets attacked by Carrillo, then they proceed with the match, and he beats Cedric Alexander by pinfall. It's something. It's carrying on the feud. Nothing really to it.
Yep.
Sarah Logan has a problem with Rhea Ripley, and she interrupts her interview and basically says, "Hey, I don't like you." And Rhea Ripley's like, "Yeah, you're about to lose a match in a couple minutes."
Yeah.
That's what happens. But they quickly go to another thing with Bobby Lashley complaining about the whole Ricochet situation, and he's going to basically rip him to shreds and do Brock Lesnar a favor so he won't be able to make it to Super Showdown and that kind of thing. That was kind of interesting that they acknowledged the idea that it's Bobby Lashley's dream to face Brock Lesnar. Like that. Still, the more you talk about that, the more it's like, turn this dude babyface and have him fight Brock Lesnar already. What the hell you doing?
Motherfucker needs to fight Brock Lesnar.
Like, you already ruined him multiple times by now. You want to make it to the point where there's absolutely nothing for him and still not do that match? Which, by the way, really quick, one of those things that may or may not happen, and we didn't get a chance to really cover it on the hot tags before, but it's not a major part of these hot tags. More rumors and speculation that we might get Sting versus Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I'm not glorifying these rumors. I will not do it, Tony. I won't do it.
I will. I want to fucking see it.
This match will not. I mean, if they announce it, then I'll talk about it. But, like, bro, give it up. Like, it's not happening.
Hey, Edge came back. Daniel Bryan came back.
All right, you know what? That's fair.
Crazier things have always happened, and please do it, WWE.
So would you be okay with it no matter what you get?
Kinda. I think more than anything, I want the stare off and the entrances. Which, by the way, I will be annoyed if they have Sting's entrance be that, like, weird entrance theme that they gave him in WWE. They need to go with the Crow theme.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
That, like, kind of thing. That's not Sting. No, do the Crow.
I said this on the WrestleZone show. You can literally get away with they show up once on the entire road to Mania, stare each other down.
Mm-hmm.
Sting points his bat to the fucking side, and there's your match.
You could go even like it doesn't need to even be a 5-minute segment. You could have Undertaker like in the middle of nowhere. It just goes gong, and the lights go out, and people go, "Oh crap, Undertaker's coming out!" And instead, Sting repels from the ceiling. Or if you don't even want to do that, it's just Sting in the ring. I always think that sounds like I'm going for Dr. Seuss, but like the lights come on and Sting is in there and he points the bat, and you don't even have the Undertaker in there. You don't even need to have him show up, and people just go.
And the people would fucking shit their pants.
They will shit and piss themselves and then slide around in all that mess because they'll be running around just going, ah! Gong plus Sting equals, plus WrestleMania point equals, give me, take my fucking money.
And they've proven this. They totally built John Cena and The Undertaker off of nothing.
Yeah.
And they had a 2-minute match, and it satiated people's need for The Undertaker.
Oh, they did it with Triple H and Undertaker.
Yeah, but at least they then came out and cut promos. But they could literally reenact that entire segment and never do anything else. Mm-hmm. And people would be so fucking sold. Because the entirety of that feud is just WCW guy and WWE guy, and damn you, Tony, you got me to validate these rumors by discussing it.
If that does happen, I'll have gone from, man, I really want to see if I could get tickets for WrestleMania 35. Oh, it didn't happen. I'm so upset. Oh, I'm actually kind of happy that I didn't get the chance to do that. It would have been really fun if I could have gone, because that Kofi Kingston moment was really cool. Maybe I'll get WrestleMania 36 tickets. Oh, I really want to get WrestleMania 36 tickets. Ah, crap, it didn't happen. Well, it happens. And then if they announce that, I'm going to go, son of a bitch. Like, it's be like, what are you doing this tickets immediately? Nah. At that point, it's going to be too much money. But I will be like, maybe I'll check out StubHub, like that kind of thing. And then I'll check to see that the prices are exorbitant and remind myself that I don't have enough money to do that kind of stuff, and then feel sad and eat Oreos or something like that.
I'm gonna eat Oreos as soon as we're done talking here.
I picked up a fucking Oreo cake yesterday. It is so good. Oh my god, I can't wait to eat that later. Rhea Ripley beats Sarah Logan.
You can always tell when we're just in the middle of the fucking night, because it's just rambling.
It's 1:40 in the morning right now. I'm going to be up for at least another 4 hours or so working on stuff, but it is 1:40 in the morning. I haven't even had a particularly stressful day. It's 2020. I've had a 15 years worth of building up, needing to sleep and stuff. And I want my Oreo cake. It was more impressive than the Sarah Logan match, and Charlotte Flair still doesn't have an answer, and she just kind of goes, hey, Takeover, you might lose the belt. It's a segment. It reminds people to Takeover.
She's announcing it at Takeover, right?
She has to. I still think that there's a chance it doesn't happen at Mania, and it just happens at Takeover.
But then what do you do for Mania? No, you're setting a bad precedent for the world. I still don't like this. It should have just been Shayna Baszler.
Well, Cain Velasquez didn't win the Royal Rumble, so I'm not always right. Even if I speak some things into...
fucking God about that. Let me tell you, Tony.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that not being the case. Ricochet beats Bobby Lashley. Randy Orton comes out, and he is about to talk about why he did the thing to Edge. All he says is it hurt him more than it hurt Edge. Matt Hardy comes out, and he cuts a long promo about the history that he has had with Edge and the animosity that he once carried, which went away, and that they're cool now.
There's some Lita chants.
What's the movie I'm blanking on? It's one of my favorite movies, I know, but I'm for some reason I'm blanking on it, but it's like I'll think of it. No, it's not a movie. I don't know, that's why I couldn't think of the name of it. Derek Comedy on YouTube. It's where Donald Glover got his start. Uh,
Ooh.
there's a great little segment, and it's that he is like doing a film class,
Oh my god.
and his films are all about his girlfriend cheating on him.
Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany, it's so great. And what was just coming across to me right now was the part where she's like, "You're not even mad at Todd. You're only mad at me." And he's like, "Hey, me and
Todd and
Todd are
I are
cool
cool
now."
now.
Like, it kind of struck me as that vibe of him being like, "Yeah, I hate Edge and I hate Lita and all that, but hey,
Mean
me
it.
and me and
Cool
Adam are
now.
cool now," like that kind of thing. But for his efforts, he gets an RKO and he gets a concerto, and then Matt Hardy tweeted out goodbye. So he seems like he's
AEW.
yeah.
AEW.
Do you think he's gonna end up being the Exalted One?
That sounds like a fucking broken Matt Hardy word. You know? I'm
And
the
it's
exalted one.
at
Yeah.
some point somebody has to be the Exalted One, or they have to just lampshade the whole thing and say, "Ah, there never was one. The gimmick sucked, and we're gonna make fun of it on BTA and move on."
Oh, they already did that with the Nightmare Collective. You can't do that twice.
Well, they could because they had three stupid dark stables at the same time. They could definitely do things more than once.
I think it would be a very bad look to do it with both angles. I think it's got to be Hardy.
It seems like the type of fit that it may not be the best thing, but it may be the best option that they have. Now, I don't really know Marty Scurll all that much to be like, that would have been so much better or anything like that.
Matt Jackson tried to debunk this. I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt. Becky says, no, that was never planned. The thing with Marty.
Do you know by any chance when Matt Hardy's deal is
March
done?
1st.
Okay, so it's not like he's like done this week.
He could theoretically show up on the March 3rd Dynamite.
I guess we're gonna have to pay attention to that. See if that ends up being when. If they start teasing the idea that the Exalted One is showing up around that time, then it could very well be him, or it could be just a red herring, and everybody goes, "Oh, it's right around the time that Matt Hardy can show up," and then they're just gonna like, "Haha, it's
Ah, it's
Sunny
Ellen
Kiss,"
Page.
yeah,
It's
something like
Sunny
that.
Kiss, really.
I don't know. It's the first one that came to my mind. But I like the segment. Randy Orton takes out somebody, gets some more heat, drags this on a little bit further. It works.
Yeah, I like it.
Not as big of a fan of the Aleister Black beating Akira Tozawa, then cutting another promo about, hey, I found these new synonyms in the thesaurus.
Knock on the door, Tony.
Who's there?
You gotta knock. You know who's there? Aleister Black. He's gonna kick you, and then
He's gonna
cut a
kick your
promo.
teeth in like Braden Walker.
And then he's gonna cut a promo about using words that he found in the thesaurus, and he'll do that through Mania. And I don't really see where they're going with him. I think everybody that was called up, with the exception of Lacey Evans, Otis, and occasionally Ricochet, everybody that was called up in 2018, 2019 did horribly.
There's no standout opponent that I can think of for Aleister Black at WrestleMania, because in theory, he could fight for the United States Championship, but this doesn't seem like it's heading in that direction to be like, this whole time I've been talking about all these, roundabout ways to say I'm going to pick fights with people and you're locked in a cage with me. And, I like having my therapy sessions every Monday night and I can talk to you people about how my dad doesn't get me or whatever these song themes. Uh, but that doesn't strike me as a thing that turns into, and that's why I'm fighting Andrade for the United States Championship. And it
His
doesn't
wife
strike.
could be the reason.
Maybe there's something to the idea that he could join Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, you're no messiah. No man should think of themselves as a messiah. You are really just a lowly human, and I'm gonna kick you.
That'd be so not intimidating. It's like, and I'm gonna kick you. And then it's just like, okay.
But like, what the fuck does he say?
Some bullshit about like, even the
It's like
even the highest priest suffers from a black mass, and
you know
that
what it
kind of
is,
thing.
right? It's like a smooth jazz Ultimate Warrior promo, and the moon is turning blood red, and I'm gonna eat all of the planet. It's like, what?
That is kind of the case. Yeah, it's very Ultimate Warrior, which it doesn't translate quite the same unless you're a screaming
No, he's
lunatic.
gonna, and the moons are fueling the rocket. It's like you gotta do it.
Now, if Aleister Black comes on Raw next week and he's just kind of like, the Black Warriors are calling me from the heavens and the crows have a different voice, and I'll be like, okay, give this guy some tassels. Imagine imagine they combine the two entrances and it ends up being that he does that thing where he comes up, but then he
And then he
bolts
just
to the fucking ring. And it's just like, I fucking, what's the lyrics said? No man is ever truly good. No man is ever truly evil. Just, I don't know. My lyrics for him is, my dad doesn't fucking get me. Like that kind of. Not a big fan of the segment, but if he starts doing Ultimate Warrior shit, I'll like it a lot better. Becky cuts a promo on Shayna Baszler where she had come back from driving the ambulance herself, and
I didn't like that bit. That bit was hokey.
which bit do you like better? The bit that she bit, or
I totally
that bit?
liked the bit that she bit instead of that bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're just pushing that along.
Do we go through Mania, or does Shayna have to fuck up 5 other girls inside the chamber? I think Shayna has to fuck up 5 other girls inside the chamber.
It's weird because they announced now that Carmella and Bayley match is happening this week. So they rushed that along.
Because here's why. The email blast comes out, and the email blast says, find out who's fighting Bayley at Super Showdown. And they do SmackDown, and you realize they're not fucking saying a word about when this match is happening. They're not going to Saudi Arabia.
Do you think that was the plan? It was Bayley, Carmella at Saudi?
Yeah. Carmella was over in Saudi. Remember when they had the video of her drinking water?
Good looking girl. I mean,
Hydration. Yes. Hydrate yourself. Do it.
I kind of thought that that's where they were going with Naomi, and that whole Carmella thing threw me off.
Naomi's fucking Mania.
That's so underwhelming if that's their plan.
But you don't understand. Naomi got so over, and I don't know how or why. I do know how and why, but it's like, it doesn't compute with me because I'm an everyday wrestling fan. Naomi came back with the afro at the Royal Rumble and got so over with casual, never seen wrestling before, African American fans. And they were just like, oh my God, this chick is amazing because she's got natural hair and she's just wearing all these colors and just doing splits. And like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen.
If their game plan was, let's wait for like 8 months to bring Naomi back and hopefully something will happen.
Game plan, bro. The game plan was Sasha Banks.
And that's a shame if that's the case, because they didn't do any groundwork on that too. Like
I always thought that the gimmick was going to be Sasha wins the right to fight Bayley, and you're like, oh, this is it. This is when, Sasha's finally going to be like, haha, bitch, it's a ruse. And that's when Bayley gets her first. Like, no, I see right through you, and I'm going to kick your ass.
How bad's her ankle injury?
Well, she says on After the Bell that she's 100%, but she needs to be 125 in order to work.
Because there still is time for Elimination Chamber. And if she's okay to work, I mean, they could do something like that. They could have her win the Elimination Chamber and go back to that.
They could have Bailey and Naomi at Fastlane, right? Because Fastlane's a thing.
Nope.
Well, Chamber's a thing. Bailey can fight Naomi at Chamber.
Yeah, that could be their way to do that. It could be, let's do the Carmella thing now, and then Naomi gets a shot at Elimination Chamber, and then also let's determine who the number one contender is, and the 6 participants are, let's see, Carmella, Alexa, Nikki, Lacey,
Sasha.
Alexa, stop. So that's both of us tonight. So it's Bliss,
Sasha, and Mandy or Sonya.
It would have to, it'd have to be Banks, Bliss, either Fire and Desire. I still think Fire and Desire is doing something for the tag titles. My gut is telling me Fire and Desire versus Iconics versus Kabuki Warriors.
But versus Duke and Shafir.
I don't think that's even going to be the case. I think it's just going to be the 3. But then, you know, if you put Lacey, if you put Bliss, if you put Banks, and then either like cross Carmella and somebody else, Mandy or somebody, then you do that whole thing, and Naomi gets her shot at Elimination Chamber. Bailey retains. Sasha gets that, and then you kind of rush that from March 8th until WrestleMania. And that kind of underwhelms. But if their game plan is just to do Naomi versus Bailey, is just like, well, way to scream pre-show, you know?
We don't usually talk SmackDown because it's on a Friday and we don't get the chance to. What do you think's happening with Otis and Mandy on Friday?
I think that they're going to go on a date.
Okay, and what will be the outcome, Tony?
I'm hoping this is one of those instances where they have like lots of things planned, and that it isn't the type of episode where for the whole night they show like the two of them at like a fake restaurant, and they're like, well, we're gonna check in with them and not really show anything other than it seems like their date's going pretty well. We'll come back to that in a little bit. I hope that they don't do that. I want to see one extreme or the other. I want to see it either be like Otis is a complete buffoon and like trying to order food for her, and it makes no sense, thinking that like, yeah, like the ideas that they were doing, that he was preparing for that stuff and he's like picking up the steak with his fingers. I want to see like either that absurdity, or I wanted to see it to be like, motherfucker got charming as all hell this past week.
Right, like he's just suddenly speaking with a normal voice. Like, how do you do?
Like he gets a suit that's like tailored on like a goddamn Bond character would, and his hair is all nice and figured out, his beard's all trimmed, and he's got this suave to him, this je ne sais quoi, and Mandy's like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm suddenly out of the league here, like that. I'd love to see something like that. I'm more interested in that than whatever the hell else they got going on. That's for sure.
I 100% think that they have a lot planned, and they go on a date, and that it's very funny. And Otis goes in to kiss her, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm actually dating Sonya.
Oh, you think they're going to pull the lesbian angle that way?
Because look at the facts. They did this Liv Lana thing, and then immediately dropped it. Never once mentioned again that Liv and Lana were together. At the Royal Rumble, they bothered to give Sonya and Mandy microphone time just to have Sonya Deville deliver the closing line of, if it happens to come down to me and you, I'll throw myself over the ropes. That's how much I care about my partner. You know? Like, it is very strange to me that they haven't pulled this trigger, but I think the fact that they stopped Liv and Lana completely is going to play into that. I don't know why it seems weird to say you can't have two lesbian storylines going at once. It's not like there are, two lesbian relationships going on at a single time in the world. It's not possible. But I think they're going with Sonya and Mandy. But then it would suck because it leaves Otis out.
Blend plot twist. Tucker comes and he's like, "No, I'm actually in love with Otis."
Oh man.
Okay.
I'm not coming.
If it's particularly good enough episode of SmackDown, maybe we'll do a dark cast on it, everybody, and you will be able to listen to that. If we do that, of course, on the Patreon, because it's Patreon exclusive. I never mentioned the merchandise shops, TeePublic and Redbubble.
Yes,
check them out.
You totally did.
If I did, I mentioned it again. Just buy something twice.
The Rock should be the host of the Oscars.
Then our main event of the night was Seth Rollins, AOP, and Murphy beat Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, and Viking Raiders.
I like the finish. I thought that was clever. I don't see them holding out through Mania. You gotta do something else here.
I just don't know what they can do, and I don't know how they could drag it out either. I feel like they're in one of those limbo times where they don't have a good enough game plan, and they're thinking that they're going to figure it out, and they won't. Look at what happened with like with Joe last year. Again, he's in the same kind of environment. Joe had that whole thing with the United States title where he was feuding with like 4 people, and they just kept doing the matches, and then eventually at WrestleMania they're like, 2 of them, even though they feuded a bunch of times. So it could just be something as simple as they dragged this out for another month or 2, and their whole game plan is, I don't know, how about Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins? And you're like, oh, come on, that's nothing special at this point. Hope that they have a game plan.
I would hate to see it.
So we didn't talk about the main topic. Seems kind of crazy. We're an hour and 40 minutes into this, and we didn't talk about what could potentially be an entire whole podcast. But if you're still listening, I commend you, and thank you for listening to this. And I apologize in advance, Callum, because I'm sure that's going to get under his skin, the things that we're saying.
Oh, yeah. I'll throw this out there. I highly doubt he listens to our 2-hour just like ramble sessions, because you guys have seen him sell our jokes. He doesn't have time for that shit.
He turned off when I mentioned the Oreo cake because it's chocolate.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the idea that there are lots of rumors and speculation and everything going around right now after the conference call with all the stocks, with Barrios and Wilson, with the way that WWE has been handled recently over the past couple of years at this point. So a lot of discussion that the pay-per-view rights might be getting changed up, and that this could be in all sorts of different directions. One of them being they might sell the rights to the pay-per-views to other platforms. It could be Peacock. It could be Apple. It could be HBO Max. Probably not. It could be Amazon. If that's the case, one thing we need to address here, and this is, again, we don't know all the ins and outs and stuff like that, but, and nothing might happen at all too. Are you in agreement with me that it seems like pretty much everybody would take this and go, oh, if you take the WWE pay-per-views live off the network, I'm done.
I've told you many times already that yes, I am one of them.
There's not much of a selling point at that point, especially if they didn't lower the price. Imagine them having the gall. If they, I mean, it's WWE, they do have the gall. But imagine them trying to pitch the idea of saying, hey, For all these years, you used to be able to pay $9.99, $10 plus when you add the tax and all that stuff, like $11, whatever, per month, and you would get NXT and NXT UK and 205 Live and original content and all the old pay-per-views and all the new pay-per-views live. And you could even get 3 months for free or a free month or whatever it is, the different things that they got going on. For all those years, for 6 years, they do that. And then for them to go, hey, no more live pay-per-views. Also, a couple months ago, we got rid of NXT, but still just give us $10 a month.
Right.
Nobody's going to do it.
Nobody's going to do it. I wouldn't do it. You already don't even do it.
The NXT stuff is the type of thing that's like, that already probably got a lot of people to not want to have the network. Now, that's not going to be like 1 million people stop doing it, but I'm guaranteed there's some people out there that stopped paying for the network because NXT is on USA. And if you take out the one major primary reason people have the network, which is the pay-per-views, and you say you're not going to put that on there anymore, I don't give a shit if you say it's a next day delay. People aren't going to do it. It could be a 3-hour delay, and I think a lot of people would cancel. People want to watch pay-per-views live, and they are never, ever at this point going to take the WWE Network for $10 a month without the pay-per-views and then also buy the pay-per-views. Especially if it's $50 a fucking pop. It's not happening. I don't care how much the stock drops. If WWE is stupid enough to think that that's the way to go about business, they deserve to go under. That is the same dumb philosophy that it feels like almost every business tends to do. How many people have run these different companies that you've seen over these years where it's like, well, revenue's down and people aren't going to like Toys R Us or something, so we're going to boost our fucking prices? Or like, I tend to use food analogies a lot because it tends to be something everybody kind of can have some kind of connection to. That's like the death knell for restaurants, for instance.
Yep.
Especially like a local restaurant. If you are not getting the foot traffic because your food's not good enough and your prices aren't good enough, there's 4 major reasons why people have restaurants that succeed. It's like, let's go with 5. You have the food itself, the price, the location, the locale, like inside, like the vibe on the inside, the aesthetics behind the whole thing, and word of mouth popularity. If nobody's talking about the restaurant, there is no word of mouth. Nobody knows that the restaurant exists, so they can't try the food, they can't experience the aesthetic, they can't whatever, that kind of thing. That it crumbles at that point. If the food is good enough and people go, they spread the word and the word of mouth carries itself. If the food is good but the prices are outrageous, there's a reason I haven't gone to the Salt Bay thing in New York. It's because every review says this isn't good enough for the price. And
which is so unfortunate.
I'm not going to bother going there because I'm not going to spend like $40 on a plate of fucking spaghetti and meatballs. If I can go to Little Italy, I went to a place the other day in Little Italy. Yeah, I wasn't even the place that we were planning on going. And amazing food.
You didn't take my suggestion on where to go either.
Yeah, I still haven't eaten that cheesecake yet. But this is now, I went to 4 places in Little Italy, didn't pay an exorbitant amount of money for it. And all 4 places, I could say to people, hey, if you go here, you're going to get a really good thing. Go to Danico's, go to Lamella. What's the place that I went, this whole thing? You go there and you get the clams and linguine. So good. So like you get the WWE equivalent to that is the food good. Well, is the product good? People aren't really all that happy about it. So that's not working for itself. is
But then there's
the
this random thing that an analyst comes out and just says, by the way, Amazon can buy WWE. That might happen. And
Amazon's one of those companies that they have enough money that they could, you know. It's like Amazon and Disney. They're like the two main ones.
given the choice between the two, what would you rather see take WWE?
That's tough. I think I'd have to have more information. You know, when I do this math problems and it's like not enough information. Because here's the things that I have issues with. If it's Disney and they want to try to homogenize the content, it could end up being horrible.
Fair.
But if Amazon takes it on board and they want to do things like you can only have access to the WWE Network if you pay for each pay-per-view, like the pay-per-view things are going to be separate and you're going to have to rent them like movies, that's not going to be a good idea anyway, because again, nobody's going to want to pay for it. Even if they lumped it in as like you have to be a member of Amazon Prime, that's a good chunk amount of money to spend. But if they have that as part of that, it would be more beneficial because people will go, well, I like Amazon Prime and I can watch the WWE pay-per-views. Cool.
I perpetually use Prime anyway, so like it is what it is for me.
I don't use Prime, but I don't order enough from Amazon to make it worth my while. Whereas like somebody like Caroline, for instance, she orders it all the time, so she gets more than her use out of Amazon Prime. And of course, you know, if you're in like a family scenario where you've got like one person's got Prime and you could order everything under that account, then that works out pretty well. But that's the same thing for the WWE Network. You know, it's not like going to the movies where I have an AMC A-list stubs account and I can only buy one ticket for myself under that thing for free. Now I pay 25 something a month to be able to get those free ticket stuff, and every time I'm buying a ticket for somebody else, I have to pay for the ticket, but that's because you were paying for the seat. Everybody could sit at home and do that. And that's why, you know, something like these streaming platforms, they work pretty well because you can get somebody who's like, I'll pay the $5 a month for, is it like $5 for Disney Plus?
It's $7.99. Jesus, Tony, pay for a subscription. What time?
You know, Disney Plus, you're $7 a month. I'm pretty sure that somebody in your family of your nuclear 4.25 or whatever the hell the equivalent is, usually somebody can afford $8 a month. And then somebody else, maybe they pay the Netflix bill. And the other person, they pay the Hulu bill or whatever it is.
You're like me and you're dumbass and you pay for all of it.
And you pay $900 a month for things and don't have enough time.
And everybody mooches off of you.
Yeah, right? I mean, could do that. But imagine trying to convince people to say like, okay, well, you used to have this for the network and now can you also spend an extra $50 a month to get that stuff on the side? Or an extra $20 a month? Or an extra $10 a month? You're better off, I think, at that point, trying to convince people to pay $15 a month for the network the way that it is now and still losing a bunch of people because people are going to go, I don't want to spend an extra $5. But there's more people that would justify, well, $15 a month and I get the pay-per-views and all that stuff. I guess I'll stick around. Nobody's paying $20, $30 or whatever for just the event at one shot. And I know some people are out there going, well, people still buy the UFC ones and people still buy that. It's a completely different scenario. This is WWE. UFC does not have 11 plus hours worth of material a week to watch.
I don't know. I don't want to think of a world where the network is changed that drastically. But then, like, one investor flat out said, so potentially could the network like close? And I don't want to think about that either.
I mean, there has been plenty of business ventures in the past that have been related to WWE that could have carried on and didn't. You know, I mean, they did the ICO Pro stuff. They did the
WBF.
The WBF. Tough Enough was a side venture.
The XFL, which now succeeds.
Now that's back in the mix. They could have done the restaurant longer. They could have had. They still don't have the physical Hall of Fame. Like there's lots of weird things that are out there, and it'd be weird to me if we got some kind of an announcement around WrestleMania where it's like, well, the network doesn't exist anymore, or well, the network isn't going to be for the pay-per-views anymore. It's just going to be for the old content. If by any chance they do say something like that, the only way the network can sustain itself, I think, is if they lower the price. That would have to be like at most $5 a month. And I don't think that they would keep even half as many subscribers. Because what was the number that they have right now? 1 point what million?
4-2.
1.42? That sounds right.
Yeah.
I would assume, and I'm not a 100% a numbers guy. I don't have an economics degree, none of that kind of stuff. So, take what I say for a grain of salt. I would assume if they say we're getting rid of the pay-per-views, that 1.42 goes down to, I mean, more than at least like you could get rid of the 0.42. You could maybe even get underneath the million. It wouldn't shock me if they got down under 500K.
But then what do you do in that case? You know what I mean? Like,
you either admit failure of the network and you kind of scrap the whole thing and you go backwards, which streaming is the way of the future. I know a lot of people are against a lot of those kind of things, but we are 100% in this cycle that we had no cable. Cable existed and you paid for TV so you wouldn't have advertisements. And then eventually cable had advertisements. And it was like that slow burn type of thing. People were like, well, it's not too bad. And now advertisements are all over the place. And then people start going, you know what? I don't want to see advertisements and I don't want to pay for these bundle packages from these. How many hundreds of channels do I get on this thing with Comcast that I don't watch? Well, they package it all together, so they sell it to me that way, and that's why they're able to save a little bit more money, and they make billions and billions of dollars, and they still nickel and dime you, like that kind of thing. People get to a point where they say, "Screw it, I don't want cable anymore," and that's why you get illegal streams and a big rush in piracy and cord cutting. So what starts happening with something like Netflix? People go, I'll pay $10 a month for Netflix. That way I'll be able to watch TV, kind of. I'll see some movies. Maybe it's a little bit late, but they're putting a new Netflix show on and I want to see the new Netflix show. Let me get into that. It's $10 a month. I only have to have my computer. Or I have my TV and it's got my smart app on it or something like that. And people are okay with it. And then the streaming starts getting a lot of traction. And let's put it this way. Disney would not be investing in Disney Plus if they did not think that would be the future. And Disney knows what they're doing with most things. They are not going to put millions and millions, billions, essentially, of dollars into something like a streaming service if they thought that in the next couple of years the bubble would pop. Now, there is going to be a bubble popping because look at HBO. Like
Disney Plus survives.
You have the DC one, right?
Yes.
Do you have Hulu?
Yes.
So when they do this whole package thing, are you going to switch to the package?
What's the package going to be?
I think that the HBO thing is, well, that's not Hulu as part of that, but HBO Max is with DC, and there's something else to that. I'm blanking on what it is now. But there's the whole Hulu plus the Disney and like that kind of thing. Like
I would have bundled Hulu Plus with Disney. Probably saved a little bit of money. But fuck that. I don't want ads. That's why I pay for Hulu in the first place.
So that's like the next incarnation of cable is these other bundle package streaming services. And people will pay whether it's a year from now or 5 years from now, people are going to be paying close to what they're paying for with cable because they've got the Peacock thing and they got the Disney Plus thing and they got this thing and they got that thing and whatever like that. And cable companies are going to try to figure out a way to factor that in there. If the WWE network goes under, WWE is taking a step back. They're making a shit ton of money right now, too. That's the thing. Like, why panic? I know that the stocks aren't doing all that good, but like, didn't they report like a record number of revenue or something for this quarter?
Yep.
You got a record number of revenue and you're heading into WrestleMania season and you might potentially panic and say that you're going to cannibalize yourself and go back to an outdated pay-per-view platform, or worse off. Think of the idea that if they were to sell the streaming rights for the pay-per-views to a competing streaming platform, what benefit do you get outside of the initial upfront payment for airing like WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber and Takeover events and all that stuff on Peacock?
I think Peacock is the most likely culprit because they already have a relationship with WWE and they have for years. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell.
I almost buy more into the idea that WrestleMania could not be on the network and it could be on Fox.
Oh yeah, they did. I don't. It's strange, and the selling rumors are strange. I don't ever see them selling anything.
We've been focusing on the pay-per-view stuff. That's another thing. What if Amazon buys WWE?
I don't even want to live in that. I don't want to live in that world.
Wouldn't that be like such a dick move on Vince McMahon's part to be like, you build up this whole thing, and right around the time frame where people are like, oh, you must be passing the keys to the kingdom pretty soon, huh? And he goes, nope, fuck it. Not a Vince McMahon thing anymore. Now it's Amazon owns WWE. Haha. I'm laughing to the bank. See ya, Paul. See ya, Steph. Like that kind of thing.
That would be awful.
I don't like that scenario. I know that that means that there's potential that people could change the way that WWE is done, but WWE, they have bad creative for a lot of things, but it's WWE.
It's still WWE and it's still great.
Like they frustrate the living hell out of me with a lot of their stuff, and I don't like watching all of this content every single week. It wears me down, and I would love to have some breaks. But at the same time, if they change and it just becomes some random thing by somebody else and it's a completely different entity or something like that, I mean, there's a reason why I don't watch all those other companies, because they're not WWE. It's not the same thing. And I can't, I guess let's put it this way, because we could go, especially since I keep rambling, we could go on this for this so many, and we might end up discussing this over and over and over again if there's more and more details about this stuff. But the different aspects, yay or nay, what happens? What do you think? One being, do they change the way that they're doing the pay-per-views?
I think we get some kind of announcement that's like WrestleMania to be made available for the first time ever through the Fox Sports app and the Peacock app, and also through I don't know, Hulu with live TV option. And then you go, okay, but what about the network? And you're like, yeah, you're shit of luck.
But they take WrestleMania out of the WWE network?
I think they might. I would hate to see them do it. I'd be shocked as all hell if it's ever still WWE. I can't even imagine. Like, I know I come on here and I ramble. I can't even imagine trying to fantasy book that because it's just not going to happen.
I rule out the idea that Vince is selling WWE. I kind of feel like that seems like a slash and burn. And I don't think that they're feeling that worried that they just want to like sell it, wash our hands, make as much money as possible, and abandon it. They care too much about it.
Right.
The pay-per-view thing, I don't know. I don't think that it's going away from the network. all the way. But maybe they do something. Maybe it's like, starting with WrestleMania, if you don't have a subscription to the WWE Network, you can still buy the pay-per-views through Amazon Prime and through some other things. And it's almost sort of like Amazon runs that as their equivalent of running their own pay-per-view buying structure. Like the way that you would have bought through Xfinity or something in the past. Maybe they can run it that way. I don't know about like the technical side of things. But maybe you don't want to pay $9.99 a month for the WWE Network. But maybe you would pay, I don't know who the hell would do this. Maybe you would pay $20 to just have WrestleMania. Or maybe you'd pay $5 to just have WrestleMania.
I couldn't pay more than what I'm paying now. Like, I think anything else is just like asking for trouble.
Yeah, I can't see any scenario happening where WWE says we're taking the pay-per-views off the network and we expect you to pay for other stuff and continue to pay for the network and not see the subscription rate drop to virtually nothing and to still not be making as much money on the pay-per-views. Unless that upfront fee is like, well, for the amount of money that you're going to get for the whole year's worth of pay-per-views, we're going to license it out and it's going to be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Still not going to be the thing. $50 a pop for the pay-per-views and all that. It's just, it can't happen. Not in 2020. But they are crazy.
Shouldn't.
They're crazy enough that they could do something like that and then just have to learn their mistakes. Learn from their mistakes, I should say.
And for all that we know, we're talking next week about Jeff Bezos buying WWE.
Yeah. If that happens, it'll be on the hot tags, which are 2 hours long this edition. So, at least for now, it's speculation. We don't know what to really buy into, but there might be more to it, and it might be crazy. I
can't even imagine.
Tell us what you are imagining in the comments section below. What are you afraid about? What are you happy about? What do you think about all these different topics that we were talking about here? And what are you excited to hear us talk about the next time around? The next time we will be talking to you guys is going to be the predictions for NXT TakeOver Portland, which is happening this weekend. So on Wednesday or on Thursday, depending on which day is better for us to record, we're going to do our predictions for that. And then, of course, after the pay-per-view, which the pay-per-view's got all the coverage that goes along with that, then we're going to do the post-show. And the following week, we don't know. That it's going to be one of those blank weeks where I'm hoping that we can take care of our Patreon stuff. And right now, for one of the things that we're going to do, at least on this channel, is that we are potentially going to watch NXT Arrival and do a fan announce table on that. And the same thing for Fanboys Anonymous, try to do a Patreon stuff for that. Maybe we do some Darkcast stuff, and I don't know what we do for our main event. So if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments below and tell us what you're interested in seeing. Maybe we'll do something that's on the quicker side, just to kind of make room for those other things. And maybe we'll do like play the game. Or maybe we really get some kind of motivation from Portland, or some other news happens and we decide that we're going to go with some brand new segment, or we bring back Wrestling as 2020. I don't know.
And at the end of the day, that's all this is. What it boils down to is you never know.
Well, the thing is, what it boils down to is maybe by next week, Amazon buys me out.
I want some of that money.
I would be totally up for that. Let's put it this way. If Amazon buys me out, next week's hot tags are going to be, it's a great idea if they buy the network. So my plugs are pretty much out of the way. Rob, you got some other things that people should be aware of?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. Check out everything I'm doing on WrestleZone.com and the WrestleZone Daily, Monday through Thursday. And check out Fightful.com and Fightful Select that broke wonderful stories like the one we spoke about earlier with Taynara. So check them out. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting Tony. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening, and thank you for listening in the future. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.